Hello, good day viewers. Let us go through this worksheet which I have downloaded from Cobet Maths. We have a bunch of problems here all under inequality. Let's start with question number one. Question number one reads, write out the following with either an less than or greater than symbol. All right, I think I'm not going to take all of them. Rather, take the first line and leave the second line for you, or take them at random. So between 8 and 6, you want to use either greater than or less than type symbol. You know that 8 is definitely greater than 6 because it is bigger than 6, right? So we use this symbol indicating that 8 is greater than 6. Then for 2 and 3, you definitely know that 2 is less than 3. So we use this one. I think, let me jump to the other side. All negative numbers are less than positive numbers on the number line. So 4 is definitely greater than -1. And since this is also a negative number, it must be less than 6, right? 9.4 is greater than 9 with 0.4, which implies that 9 is less than 9.4. So 9 is less than 9.4. 7 is less than 10. 5 is greater than 0. 0 is greater than -1 because I told you all negative numbers are less than positive numbers on number line. So we are done with question number one. Question number two, we are asked to write down an inequality for each of the following. So x is greater than 8. How do we write it in an inequality form? It is written as x greater than 8. X is less than 3, meaning x less than 3. X is less than or equal to 1. X is less than or equal to 1. This is how to write it. X is greater than or equal to 0. X is greater than or equal to 0. X is less than 7. X is less than 7. X is greater than or equal to -2. Greater than or equal to -2. X is less than or equal to -10. Less than or equal to -10. X is greater than 5. X is greater than 5 without equality sign. So this is how to write them in an inequality form. But here we are asked to write the meaning of these inequalities. I think I should take them at random. Here we have x greater than 6, right? Then the second one, x is less than 2. And the third one, we have x is greater or equal to 1, right? X is greater or equal to 1. Let me take this one. X is less than or equal to 4. So I think you can do the rest. This is x greater or equal to 0, x less than or equal to -4, x less than -4, x greater than 20, x less than y, a greater or equal to b, c greater than 5, y less than or equal to 100. Then question number 4 reads, write down the inequalities shown below. So this is a graph of inequality on number line. We asked to write the meaning. Whenever you see this open cycle, it indicates either less than or greater than. But if it is a closed cycle like this, a tick cycle, it indicates either less than or equal to or greater or equal to. But you have to look at the direction of the inequalities. I told you all numbers to the right of the number line are greater than those to the left. So since the arrow is pointing to the right, it indicates greater than. So I will write greater than first here. Then I will write x at the back. Then from where does the line start? It starts from 1. It indicates x is greater than 1. Can you see that? As simple as that. Then moving to the B part, the arrow is looking toward the left hand side, which indicates less than. And you can see it is an open cycle, so it is just less than. So we have x less than what? 3, because it starts from 3. Then moving to the C part, you can see a tick cycle and the arrow is pointing to the left, which indicates less than or equal to, because the cycle is tick, it's a closed cycle. So we have our x right here, and it begins with 5. So x is less than or equal to 5. And the last one, you can see also a tick cycle, which indicates greater or equal to, because the arrow is pointing to the right. So once it is looking towards the right hand side, it must be greater. But once it is looking towards the left hand side, it must be less than. And because it is a tick cycle, it will be greater or equal to, greater or equal to. Then we have x here. X is greater or equal to, it starts from where? 0 and forever. We have another one here, which I think I'll leave for you, because it is a tick cycle and it is pointing to the right. This is greater or equal to, which implies x is greater or equal to -2. This is what? X less than -3. This is what? X greater than -5, because it is pointing to the right. This is what? X less than or equal to 0. Question number 5. Show these inequalities on a number line. We don't have number line here, but I will create one. Suppose we have a number line like this, and this is just greater than 5. It is going to be an open cycle, and it is going to begin at 2. Suppose we have 0 here, 1 here, we have 2 here, we have 3 here, we have a lot of numbers. So under 2, you create an open cycle, then you draw an arrow to the right to indicate greater than. So this arrow indicates x is greater than 2. Let me take another one at random. Let me take this one. Suppose we have 0 here, we have 1, we have 2, we have 3. This is x greater or equal to 3, a closed cycle on top of 3, then arrow to the right hand side, which indicates x is greater or equal to 3. We have a lot of numbers here. So let me take another one here. Let me take this one. Suppose we have 0 here, we have 1 here, we have 2 to the left, we have -1, we have -2, and so on. So under -2, because it is less than or equal to, we are going to form a closed cycle on top of -1. And because it is less than 5, it must point towards the left hand side. Something like this. Let me take this one. We have 0 here, we have -1, -2, -3. On top of -2, an open cycle, because it does not contain or equal to, then towards the left hand side to indicate that x is less than 2. So it must start from -2 towards the left hand side. We have a lot of numbers here, all negative numbers. I think I will create a special video on how to represent inequalities on a number line. So we have question number 6 here, which stated that write down an inequality for each of the following. So let's read them. X is greater than 2, but less than 5. X is greater than 2. And at the same time, x is less than 5. What does it mean? It means that x begin with 2 and stop at 5. So you bring your x at the center. This must be less than 5. And it must be greater than 2. So this is how to present it. It is between 2 down to 5. Then number 2, x is greater than 0 but less than 4. It is from 0 down to 4. 0 less than x less than 4. This is how to write it, from 0 down to 4. Then C part, x is greater than 1 but less than or equal to 7. Be careful. You begin with 1, but you end with less than or equal to 7, because you see the second statement stated that but less than or equal to 7, less than or equal to 7. But what? X is greater than 1. If you look at it like this, x must be greater than 1, right? And 1 less than x. That is how to write it. X is greater than -5, but less than or equal to 2. -5 less than x less than or equal to 2. X is less than or equal to negative 8. Negative 8 less than or equal to x, but less than 3. Can you see that? Then F, x is greater or equal to 10. So you begin with 10 less than or equal to x. If you read this one backward, it reads 10 less than or equal to x. But if you read it from the right to the left, x must be greater or equal to 10 according to the question. But less than 20. Less than 20. Then G, x is greater than or equal to 3. So we have 3 here, less than or equal to x. But less than or equal to 6. Less than or equal to 6. And the last one, x is greater than or equal to 8. So we have 8 here, less than or equal to x, but less than or equal to 11. Then question number 7, we asked to write the meaning of all of these inequalities. So this one reads, x is greater than 3, but less than 5, right? X is greater than 3, but less than 5. That is for A part. Then this is x greater than 2 but less than 9. You can write it. But let me write this one. X is greater or equal to 19 but less than 20. But what about this one? X is greater or equal to 5 but less than or equal to 10. That's how to write it. I think I will skip some of this. You can write this one. X is greater than 0 but less than or equal to 4. This is x greater or equal to negative 4 but less than 1. We have x greater or equal to negative 8 but less than or equal to negative 6. X is greater than 100 but less than 20. And here we asked to list all the integers, whole numbers, that satisfy each of these inequalities. So let's see. X is between 2 down to 6, excluding 2 and 6. But suppose we have O equal to like this one, you have to include 3. So let's write the numbers within this range. We have 3, we have 4, we have 5. These are the numbers that satisfy this inequality. Then this one is between 5 down to 10, excluding 5 and 10. So we have 6, 7, 8, and 9. Right? And this one is between 4 and 8, but you have to include 4 and exclude 8 because we have O equal to here. So this is 4, 5, 6, 7. You stop. You can do the rest. Let me do E from negative 2 down to 3, including 3, but excluding negative 2. So we have negative 1, we have 0, we have 1, we have 2, we have 3. This one, it begins with negative 5 and stop at 1. You include negative 5 because of this O equal to, but you have to exclude 1. So you have negative 5, negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1. We have 0. You stop because 1 is excluded. You can do the rest. But for this one, you have to include both the boundaries, negative 10 and negative 5. So it will be negative 10, negative 9, negative 8, negative 7, negative 6, negative 5. You stop. But this one, you have to start from negative 3. You stop at 3. So we have another inequality here, graph of inequality, which we want to represent. So you can see that it started from 1 and stop at 4. So it will be 1 less than x less than 4, something like this. It starts from 0, stop at 5. We have 0 less than x less than 5. This one start at 0 and stop at 3, but you have to include 3 because of that tick cycle. So this will be 0 less than x, but less than or equal to 3. This is negative 3 less than or equal to x, less than or equal to 4 because all the other ends are tick. This one will be negative 5 less than or equal to x because of this, but the other end will just be less than negative 1. And lastly, we have negative 3 less than x, but less than or equal to 4. And we are done. Then we have the last category here, which is applied questions. The cost C of a TV is less than 300 pounds. Write this as an inequality. So how do we write it? We use C, which is for the cost, less than 300. And the second question, to go on a roller coaster, a person height h must be over 140 centimeter. So how do you write it? We use h over, that is greater than 140 centimeters. Then question number 3, the value of a house V is 100,000 euro or more. So we take this V, which is the value, it must be greater or equal to this amount, 100,000. Number 4, there are 20 students in the class. The number of students present on a particular day is 20 or less. So let me use n for the number. They must be less than or equal to 20. So they must all be present or some of them are absent. So number 5, write down any integer whole numbers that satisfy this. X is greater than 4 but less than or equal to 8. So how do you write it? So it is from 4 down to 8, excluding 4, including 8. So we have 5, 6, 7, and 8. Then the last one, write down any integers, whole numbers that satisfy both this and this. So we have the first one. Let me write it. It's from 2 down to 9, excluding 2, including 9. So we have 3, we have 4, we have 5, we have 6, we have 7, we have 8, and we have 9 for the first one. And numbers greater than 5 are 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on. We have a lot of them. So what is the intersection? Numbers we have common, they are from 6 down to 9, right? So we have 6, 7, 8, and 9. These are the numbers we can see here and here at the same time. So I think this is all we have today. Thank you for watching. Do share to your learning colleagues and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more exciting videos. Bye bye.